Hey, welcome back to a 3D Code Academy. In the previous lesson, we completed UV unwrapping, which prepare our model for the texturing. But there is a common problem in 3D production. High poly models contain amazing details, while the low poly models are optimized but lose those details. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to transfer all that high detail from the high poly mesh into a low poly mesh using the process called the map baking. Okay, without a further ado, so let's start it. I open where we ended lastly with these UVs unwrapping. So let's see. Okay, let's back to the object mode and import our high poly mesh. So I remember this we save in desktop. And I go to the desktop and they download this method mesh. So this is our method mesh and this is our low poly. So you can see the difference. This is our low poly and this is a high poly mesh. You need to add a texture. We are going to bake the texture, so we need to add the image texture here. And let's open and call this a normal map. Okay, so I will live with this resolution, but you can change it to your desired resolution. For me, I said that's okay. Like press OK, but the color space, we need to change this color space because it's a normal to none color. Okay. This you cannot map to direct to the principal BSDF. We need to have a conversion. So we need to go to this displacement and add a normal map. So this yellow goes back to this yellow color and normal go back to the normal color. So make sure that you select this one and go first to this method mesh. That's your high poly mesh, and select lastly your low poly mesh. And make sure that you select your texture. So we can go and try to extend our window shell and change this to a UV editor. So you can see the texture when we are baking. So I'll change that to the selected normal map texture. And you can see the results. Another thing, you need to go to render and change the render engine to the cycles. You can select if you have a GPU or you can use your CPU for this process. And I need to go there for the bake. You see this, we have a bake. I can select this bake and I need to start baking the normals. So I'll change this from combine to a normal. Okay, there is a couple of things we need to solve this. So we bake it from high poly to low poly. So we make sure that we first select your high poly and last select the low poly, and the texture selection is selected, and go that means that they selected to active. So we bake from those high poly to the selected active, which is this low poly. And then you can see that you can open this and the extrusion. So you can extrude this, maybe start by this 0.6 meter and start baking that for this side of the window. We see that we're baking the texture. But there's a couple of things there is be a little an issue there. Maybe you can increase the number of extrusion and bake again and try to see how it fixes this. Okay, I think that's good enough for a bit. So you can, that seems that you have already baking, and you can come back this to the material. Let's unselect first the high poly mesh and see. You see that it's not baking. Yeah, it's baking. You are not seeing it because you are not changing this to the material view preview. So you see, when you have in material preview, you see you have got details. So you can back this to the layout and try to see nicely So when you go to this, you will not see those baking because this is a solid state, not a material. So you need to change it to the solid material and see this through. You see that you have all back details back again. This and you see to this rendering. You can see that. You see that you have a complete baking the normals. The more the ones that contain the details for those details. So let's see how we bake the ambient and occlusion. Okay, after finishing creating the normal maps, let's bake in the ambient and occlusion. So I will change this to the UV editor, and we need to create another material here. Let's call it AO, means ambient and occlusion, and let's move the alpha. Okay, and let's put this as a new material, and let's go to our mesh and let's go to the shader. Let's put this down and press the Shift A to add a new texture there. Call the image texture. I can put there. Remember, we have already created the ambient and occlusion there. Let's put this, and as we did in the baking of the normals, I can change this into AO, that's ambient and occlusion, and can come here for the baking and change this from the normal to the ambient and occlusion, and make sure that first you select the high poly, and let's select the low poly, and make sure that the texture is active, and then you bake it. And wait for the results. You see the results in your UV editor. You can see that. You see this is our ambient and occlusion. Maybe you can see this. You can see this deepened shadow between the eyes. That's the area where we need to have ambient and occlusion. Even the inside of the nose, it's baked nicely. Even the inside part of the mouth. So in the area that's where create shadows after receiving the light or being hiding from the lights. You can see that's even for our ears. It's baked nicely. So let's hide the high poly mesh and see what we created. So we can cap and see how it's looking. It's looking good. Okay.
So, and that's it. We have officially completed texture baking. Next tutorial will push things even further and bring our models to life. Until then, stay creative, stay sharp. This is Federico Ciao.